Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today we are looking back at one of my favorite recent commissions in which I got to paint 3 heads to look like 3 characters who represent 3 elements. How many times can I say 3? Anyway, the elements in question are wind, earth, and fire, and I'm really looking forward to sharing snippets of my process with you today, so let's dive right in. The sculpts that I'm painting in this video are 2 Granado Davons, tan skin and white skin, and 1 Loongsoul Jiao in normal skin. We're not taking it from the top today. Instead, I'm going to take you through some aspects I think you should consider when painting more elaborate face-ups, especially when there are fine details and specific color schemes to consider, and when you want to paint something like a face tattoo or a decal on your doll. I decided to finish each face-up on a base level before adding these special designs. This was to ensure 2 things: that I had all the colors down that I wanted to use, and that the colors that I used were up to the right intensity. There's one thing you'll see me do over and over in this video, and that is reapplying the pastels around the eyes to intensify the color. If you want your pastels to resemble bright, vibrant eyeshadow, this is definitely necessary. The darker the doll's skin tone and the darker the color is you're going for, the more reapplying you will have to do, as was the case with the tan-skinned Granado head. At this stage, I've got eyeshadow, eyelashes, brows, skin, and lips all done, so it's on to the fun stuff. The wind character was meant to have swirls all around the eyes and a cloud symbol on the forehead, so I mixed the colors of his eyeshadow with a lot of white to make it nice and opaque. I wanted the pale pastel lines to really pop off the lid. I just kept a very loose wrist throughout this process because wind is not meant to look rigid, it's just keeping in with the flow and fluidity of the lines. Coming back to the tan-skinned head, this guy's decal was quite detailed and fine, so it needed some prep work. I recommend using a non-sticky tape like washi tape to help you draw some straight lines as guide work for your paint. I used a light white pencil to draw out the entire design beforehand, using the tape as a guide, but also just taking my time and going slow. I had to do it multiple times until I got a straight line in the position that I wanted, but I got it there in the end. For the Loongsoul head, I made a mark sort of in the middle of the forehead before freehanding a flame symbol that looked like the one the client had envisioned. I did have lots of reference pictures for all of these face-ups that I could draw inspiration from. Even though I had quite clear instructions for these face-ups, at the end of the day, the creative execution was still my own, and I really appreciate when clients trust me enough to go with whatever crazy idea I have for the face-ups. Again, my best piece of advice overall is just to take your time. Try not to get too anxious and think about what you want to make perfect or what has to be completely symmetrical, because in the end that'll just put you under stress, and face-upping is really something that is supposed to be fun. I erased so many attempts until I got a version I was happy with, and even if my end result isn't perfect, it's still the best that I could do at that given time. If I do these face-ups again today, they would look a bit different because, you know, that's what improving and refining your craft is all about. Growth, baby, step by step. Another good tip I have is that if you're struggling to get started or you feel overwhelmed by your design, try breaking it down into its most basic shapes. The flame that I drew was based off a teardrop shape, which is just a circle with a pointed tip. Start off with the most basic shape that is fundamental to the design and build it up from there. I have a lot of love for some of the unfinished steps of the face up right here, because I love the way the cloud stands out from the rest of the face. The end result might be more refined and elaborate, but there's still something so pretty about having the cloud line work without any color. I love the simplicity of it. Right before I wanted to move on to the gold decal, I realized my favorite gold paint was empty, so I had to get some new pots. Wound up getting a few more colors just to be sure. You can never have enough paint pots. As a veteran Warhammer painter, Citadel is my go-to brand. This is the paint consistency I worked with. It's slightly watered down paint with retarder and flow improver. It's still a thick but runny texture, and it's really easily and quickly removable with a cotton bud, because that is what's most important when you're working with fine details. You want to leave some room for error and troubleshooting. Actually, if I remember correctly, the paint gods were in my favor that day, and I got through this step with relatively steady hands and little I had to redo, so quite happy with that. Doesn't happen often, but I'll take it. This next part was entirely experimental. I had the client's permission to try gold leafing on the tan head for that extra punch of shininess. I used the appropriate materials to apply the gold leaf, and when the right amount of time had passed according to the packaging instructions, I brushed off the excess with a coarse, bristled brush. I added some gold eyeliner to tie the gold in with the green, before finishing everything off with a healthy amount of shimmer. And that's it. 3 elemental inspired face-ups with 3 very different results. This whole commission was super fun, and I can't wait to do more fantastic face-ups in the future. I hope you enjoyed this recap video of the process. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. Like and subscribe if you like what I do, and I guess I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys, thanks for watching.